than me.
No, I have no problem with what you called your documentary, the Orange County Hardcore Scenester. I thought it was weird that you contacted me to be interviewed for it because I feel like I was never like a part of really any of that. I felt like I was always sort of on the periphery.
Well, number one, that's exactly why you should be talked to, because the fact that you felt like you were on the periphery in this scene that's supposedly like so inclusive and come one, come all, the fact that you felt that way is like, I want to talk to as many people as I can. And number two, like as I was saying, like I think you really, whether you meant to or not, you really put your print on the zine, even before doing Life Sentence Records. Like, I think you were a unique personality within a scene. And then on top of that, what you did with Life Sentence Records, which leads me to my next question about that. So you were doing Life Sentence Records, and how, like, can you kind of tell the story of that? Because the last time we spoke, we had a really nice meal at International House of Pancakes. Um, you were doing like an exclusive with Rev, and then it seems like the label then is no longer in existence. I could be wrong. Can you kind of take me from that? It was like 2002, I think, or 2004.
Um, well, it was an interesting time in music then, right? I mean, there was all like the file sharing and the Napster and all of that, and it was just a hard time for a small label to do anything. I mean, when I'm pressing a couple thousand records, a couple thousand CDs, and it's hard to move them because of the file sharing. It just made it hard to do the label. It was like there was a point where I wanted the label to be more than just like a hobby. And I had really looked at the label as a hobby for the entirety of the label. I never really survived off the label. I never, paid bills off the label. It was always, putting money on credit cards to put a record out to hopefully sell enough records to pay back to my credit card. Um, so it was never like a big label. And being exclusively distributed by Rev was great because we used to, send them 20 records or whatever and send, 20 records to Very Distribution and
Oh
send,
yeah.
20 records to all these other random people. And then I would just run and chase these people down for $60 or whatever. It was ridiculous. But when we went exclusive with Rev, Rev could get us in more stores, and Rev got to deal with all of the other distributors, and get us paid on a relatively um, frequent basis. We never like. I don't think looking at it now. I don't think going exclusive to Rev really made us sell more records. Um, it's it saved me time from having to chase down, $100 from this guy or $100 from this guy, or and it was just nice to ship everything to one spot and just have them sort of deal with it. They also had some interesting programs to help us get our records out to different places for review and all of that. And it saved me a lot of postage from having to put my records to send to all these different people when they would just take, a percentage of the records I send them and send them out when they send their records out. So I felt like we got some decent, more press, but I don't think we sold more records. I mean, there wasn't a time where we went from selling like 1,000 records to like 10,000 records. It was still small amounts of records and CDs being sold.
Do you think it's interesting how things have sort of cycled back to everyone's doing the file sharing, everyone's doing MP3s and whatnot, and then now labels are releasing like limited edition like CDs, limited edition vinyl, limited edition cassettes. Like it's sort of like physical has taken on a different meaning now, whereas there's still the streaming aspect of it, but it's almost like doing a record label really seems like now it's really geared more towards the collectors than people, the casual people that just want to hear music.
Yeah, I'm not involved with the hardcore scene really anymore, so I don't know what's going on at the shows or whatever. But I know that kids like to collect things, you know, and every once in a while I think to myself, you know what, I'm going to put on another record, and then I think, no, I don't want to max out another credit card for another stupid endeavor, so I don't do it. But I've thought about it over the years of trying to put out more stuff, and it would always be just like limited edition 7 inches, but at that level, when you're doing limited edition 7 inches, you know, you're definitely, it's probably tricky to break even on that stuff. I mean, records are so much more to produce now than they used to be. You used to be able to press, probably a 7-inch record on black vinyl for 60, 70 cents,
Yeah.
all included. And I've got a couple buddies who have record labels now, and they're telling me it costs them like $3 or $4 to do a 7-inch. And where do you sell a 7-inch? You can't wholesale 7 inches for that much, over $4. I would think that'd be ridiculous. I remember wholesaling 7 inches for $2, and thinking I was just like like I was a millionaire at the time or something, because I'd sell you 27 inches and I'd make $80 out of it. But it was, yeah, I've thought about it over the years a bit, but I've never thought seriously about it.
So what year did Life Sentence Records kind of cease to be in operation?
I don't know. I can't remember the exact year. It was probably around the time that you had said that we had petered out. I just sort of ran out of steam. I remember I did the Grimlock, the Crusher EP, and that was like my most expensive CD I had ever.
I remember the CD like art. I was like, wow, this is like.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, man, this CD is going to be like Hatebreed. This is going to be like my I don't know. I was thinking that it was gonna do great things for the label, and I remember they broke up before the album even came out, and that was my largest press of a record ever. And
How many?
Remember I was getting ready to move from Salt Lake City to Minnesota for work, or maybe I was moving out to North Carolina for work, because I sort of moved from Salt Lake to Minnesota and then back to Salt Lake, and then from Salt Lake out here to North Carolina. And I remember I took these Grimlock CDs and I filled up 2 trash cans full of Grimlock CDs. And I just put them out on the curb, just let the garbage man came and take them. And it was just thousands of CDs that just went to the dump that day,
And that was your most expensive release. Like, but you just couldn't take them. Like, you had to do that.
It was too much stuff to move, and they weren't selling, because I did an EP for them before, and it did pretty well. And then they sort of started playing shows, and they were, getting pretty popular. And then that Crusher CD was really good. The quality of it was good, and the production value was good. And I did posters and shirts and everything. And then it all just kind of sat in my garage, and just spiders crawled all over it. And I was like, you know what? I've just got to get rid of all these, and I just threw them all away, man. I still got some out in the garage here. But yeah, they collect dust in the garage here in North Carolina now.
So you stopped doing that, and what do you do now? Like in terms of like a job? Like I know you do something, but what is it? Like, so you didn't become an archaeologist. This whole time I've been imagining that.
Yeah, I work for a software company. So
okay.
You like software project management, software consulting.
And what is that something you did in the Marines? Like is that how you got into that? Like, or have you just always known that?
No, so I was a jet engine mechanic when I was in the Marines. and so I'm really far from there in this new job. But um, I started. I also did like quality control, like quality assurance when I was in the military, and I got a job working in a software company doing like quality assurance, and that was sort of my into a software company. So I started, working for software companies, and then from that company to another company, and I ended up, in this sort of line of work. And once you do like what I do for this software company, it's those skills are kind of easily transferable to other types of companies, other types of software. So um, I just ended up ended up here.
And when you say quality assurance, is that going through like code and like making sure that everything is kind of gonna compute correctly, or no?
Yeah, I'd say that it's a big term, right? So it could be either, testing of the software um, to just various types of testing, I guess, is really what it is. And I don't do quality assurance anymore at all. I do like software consulting now. So someone would buy our software and I would help them to configure the software to do what they want it to do, type of thing. It's immensely boring and unsatisfying.
Do you think you'll ever do a band again?
No, I don't know. I'd say about every 2 years, Richie from Excessive Force contacts me and he's like, "Hey, we should do the band, man." And it's it's just so just it's so done. I mean, I just have no drive for that. I don't really know anything about the hardcore scene.